Okay. Okay, we are streaming. All right, cool. We're live now. Hey guys, I'm just going to wait for a little bit to see if anybody joins us, but if you're watching this on replay, hi, I am Corey Draper, and this is a Bucs reaction. Yeah, that's fancy. Is my name and everything there. This is my first time broadcasting live, so I may have nobody watching this link. I don't know, but hopefully if you're watching this, it's either after the game, shortly after the game. The Bucs lose to the Packers in overtime, and they lost it in a very Bucs way. It was a very frustrating game where the Bucs won in every category, but the one that counted, the one that mattered. And I don't know about you guys, but as soon as I saw the Packers win that coin toss, I had a very bad feeling, and what happened is exactly what I thought would happen. So let me take my name off here. So thanks for joining, guys. I see there's a few more here in the chat room. Mr. Bucs Nation, what's up, man? Hope to connect with you soon and do one of these videos with you. This dinosaur, how you doing? First live stream, and I wish I was more excited for you guys. I feel like I would have more energy if we won, but we didn't, and it was very disappointing. But to you guys just joining me, hey, I'm Corey, and I'm actually recording from my wife's college campus. The reason is because I live in a small Georgia town in Falcons country, and the internet available to me is god-awful. So I had to find a place on this college campus and use their internet so I could give you a legitimate stream. So hopefully the quality's fine, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay. There'll probably be people walking back and forth looking at me weird. But anyway, thanks for joining. I see you guys are already talking about how frustrated you are. I am too. Gabe saying I knew they'd lose after the Evan Smith block in the after Evan Smith had a very bad game. And think about what could be different, guys. Think about what could have been different had Joe Hawley actually started this game. It seems like God really doesn't want us to win, because Joe Hawley, who is a great center, has been a great center for us the last couple of years, and he gets struck with an illness, and so Evan Smith, the third-string center, comes in, and he has a bad snap inside the 5-yard line. He has a couple of crippling penalties, including the block that just completely killed our drive or momentum at the end of regulation. And that's just our year. That's just our year this year. Let's go ahead and take it from the top. I felt like Dirk's play calling actually wasn't that bad. I was going back and forth on whether or not it was Dirk's play calling that was having our offense move the ball, or if it was because Jameis was being willing to take the check down. And maybe it was a little of both. I'm not sure. I tweeted at Tampa Bay Trevor Sycamore over at Pewter Report asking him that question. He seemed to think it was the actual play calling. Dirk's play calling was better. I don't know what suddenly has made him rethink things, and all of a sudden we're doing these short passes that are working. The screens were working finally. Things seem to meld well. Peyton Barber did really well, and once we have a run game that opens things up a bit, maybe that helped. So what do you guys think of the play calling? I want to know. And yes, I do live in Georgia. My wife is a Falcons fan, a huge one, and it's tough. It's tough being up here. Do you think since Peyton Barber did well, Doug Martin is gone this season? Oh, I actually thought that before this game. I think we can get rid of Doug with no repercussion. He's done nothing this year. I know Dirk said either this week or last week that he doesn't think Doug's the reason our run game is poor. But after this game, Peyton did well under a makeshift offensive line and performed admirably. Would Doug have done as well or better? Maybe. It's hard to say. But I do think Doug's gone regardless. We can dump his contract and it not be any penalty to us. So we'll be looking running back once again in the draft free agency. We'll see how it goes. We'll see who's coaching. O-line did better for the run this game, but pass protection was bad. That's true. The O-line, it seemed like it was two different offensive lines, right? They did so well run blocking. That's why I said I wasn't sure if Doug would have done as well or better, because the blocking was solid just randomly. And who knows what the reason was there. You know, we had our two best offensive linemen out, and the run blocking was great. And then the pass blocking, Jameis was scrambling for his life the whole time. Now, I did notice that Jameis held on to the ball way too long a few times. He had a clean pocket a few times, and he still got jittery, and he still did what Jameis does and made dangerous decisions. And one of those cost us a touchdown, and one could say it was a difference. Jameis is who Jameis is, and I really want to believe he can take this team and put it on his shoulders, but he's just not there yet. I think he will in the future, but right now his turnovers are really killer, and that fumble that he had where he was trying to throw on the way down, yet he's trying to make a play happen. He just needs to take a sack there. Hey guys, hey everybody who's just now joining us, thanks for jumping in. You guys are basically saying the same things I am. I think we are seeing the same problems, and I think the frustrating thing to me was whenever the defense stepped up. This was actually, in this game, it was a great representation of the season as a whole. When the defense stepped up, the offense couldn't seem to score. And then when the offense scored, the defense would suddenly let the Packers run the field. And that's what happened here in overtime, right? So it's just a frustrating team to watch. The fact that we got inside the 5-yard line twice and only came up with 10 points, and honestly, it took a really great throw and catch by Jamison Brate to make sure it was 10 points and not just 6, going inside the 5-yard line. So frustrating when we get inside the red zone that we can't score, and I think that's one of the bad things about Dirk Cutter. I think that's one of the indictments against him. It's looking more and more like he won't be here next year. If you guys follow this channel, I am of the thought that you need to wait on making a decision on a head coach until the end of the year, which the Glazers are good at. Let's see if the players still have fight. Let's see if they give up on the coach. If they give up on the coach, then you fire him. But if we kept Dirk, what the change that I want to see is if he gives up the play calling. Like, I feel like if Dirk gives up play calling, that's at least hope for us. Mike Smith, on the other hand, I don't know what to think. I don't know if I know enough about X's and O's football to say if it is Mike Smith, but man, there are some reputable people, such as people at Pewter Report and Stephen Che at Che_Say on Twitter. You should follow him. They are saying this defense, these schemes are just bad, and the Falcons game last year was indicative of that. So, if you ask me, I think the staff is gone after this year. Who replaces them? Could be Gruden. Who knows? Who do you guys want in here? Do you want Gruden? That's a question I can ask in the chat. Do you want Gruden here if Dirk is gone? You may want him gone. You may not want him gone. But if he is, who do you want to replace? I've heard Harbaugh thrown out there, but I don't think he would leave Michigan. It's his alma mater, and he's still building that team. I doubt he would leave them. So, I see. Andy says, I would love to see Mike McCoy hired for offensive coordinator. I could see that. Again, it all depends on who's coaching this team. You know, if Dirk were to give up play calling, obviously it would go to Todd Monken. And then whoever is offensive coordinator, that's up to the new head coach. So, Patrick, you say you want Gruden. Andy, you say not Gruden. Andy, if you say not Gruden, I want to see who you think should be head coach. Let me scroll through the chat here. TJ Ward played bad this season. Yeah, and that's one of those things where, is it scheme? Is it the players? TJ Ward, we all know, is a great talent. And I've heard from people who study the film, watch the film, saying that he isn't playing well. But that's another question, is like, can a new coach come in and play to his strengths? And one thing that I really do not like about this coaching staff is the platoons that we do, and we did it a lot at safety. We do it a lot at safety, and thankfully Justin Evans has pretty much supplanted his role. But the other safety, it's been rotational. Conti, TJ Ward. We haven't seen much of Tandy. And then you see the rotations that we had, which obviously are going to stop now, with Pample and Evan Smith. at guard, and I feel like that's hurt our team. It seems to me like this entire coaching staff can't pick players that they want to start and just stick with them. I really am a believer of just, hey, this is your team, these are your starters, and you roll with them. That brings cohesiveness, it brings continuity, and that's another slight against this coaching staff. Let's see. I think Dirk should stay coach but give up play calling. I agree, Andy. I think the team is going to get rid of the staff and hire a guy like Josh McDaniels or Matt Patricia. That would be very interesting. I don't know, Mr. Bucs Nation, I don't know if I want Josh McDaniels as head coach. Remember, he is the one that drafted Tim Tebow and drafted him in the first round. So that's the kind of talent evaluator he is. And hey, this is coming from a Florida alum. Let's be honest here, Tim Tebow was not a first round worthy draft pick, and it ended up getting him fired. Matt Patricia is very interesting. We would be taking another risk on a new head coach. I'm not sure if the Bucs brass want to risk that. Matt Patricia definitely could make lemonade out of lemons, as he has this year with the Patriots. If you guys remember, the Patriots were terrible this year, but suddenly they've locked things down, and they don't have a whole lot of talent there, but their defense is looking great. So Matt Patricia is very interesting. I would be excited about it, but again, I don't know if the Glazers are going to go there. What about Jason Light, guys? Do you guys think Jason Light needs to stay? I personally think he needs to stay. I'm a fan of Jason Light. I'm a Light apologist, if you will, and the reason is because, just going off of what I know from former Bucs GMs, we're going from McKay, who drafted a whole bunch of Hall of Famers and also put us in salary cap hell at the same time. We had Mark Dominic, and then we had Bruce Allen. That's the one I'm forgetting. Bruce Allen was the other one. Mark Dominic and Bruce Allen both were terrible, and compared to those two, Jason Light has been pretty great. Well, he's been good at talent evaluation. I really think he's been solid, and I really want to see what he does now in the next draft, the next free agency period, because it's clear that his gambles on the offensive and defensive line have not paid out, and I want to see how he attacks it. I think he and this staff have evaluated talent very well, especially in later rounds. So they've been pretty solid. I don't think they're fire-worthy. We'll see. Gabe Torres says Light isn't the problem. I agree. So we don't talk about that whole Tim Tebow thing. Jason Light should stay. Yeah. Keep Light. Okay, so you guys are with me there. Austin says we have the personnel for a 3-4 defense, but we stick to 4-3. Unwillingness to change is why this coaching staff is terrible. Now, we only know that we have the personnel for 3-4 defense because the personnel has decided, or sorry, the staff has decided to change the looks. If you've noticed the last few games, we've done a lot of 3-3-5s. That wasn't the case at the beginning of the year, and that is indicative of Mike Smith trying stuff new and trying to mix things up, and all of a sudden, hey, we've got these linebackers who are doing well in a 3-4 or in a 3-5-5. So I agree with you that we have them there. I also agree with you that this staff's unwillingness to change is a huge problem, and I think will be their downfall. It's just they have been trying things. Not enough things, that's for sure. Mike W., everybody likes the parent who buys the pizza. Nobody likes the parent that makes them eat broccoli. Dirk is a pizza parent. The team clearly needs the latter. Okay, so that's a good analogy, and that's actually one that applied in the Raheem Morris era, right? So we hired Raheem Morris, and he let the old, I don't want to use the term inmates running the asylum, but that's basically what it was. He was their best buddies. Raheem Morris was a buddy, and we're like, okay, so he's a pizza guy, right? And then we got rid of him and then got the broccoli guy and Greg Schiano, and we all know how that ended up. So I think what we need is just somebody who's been here, and I think somebody who knows how to deal with players and be the pizza guy when needed, but also be the broccoli guy when needed. And I think Tom Coughlin was one of those guys who figured out that perfect sauce. He had to learn by going from being the authoritarian Greg Schiano-like and then loosening up, and he found that great balance. If we could find somebody who could do that, who that is, I have no idea. I think I would be happy with Gruden because I was never in favor of him being fired in the first place. I was completely in his camp. I do think Bruce Allen was the biggest problem there. That said, Gruden's talent evaluation wasn't great, but I would not be upset with Gruden. He knows the area. He knows the team. He's been following the league. And he still has a lot of knowledge when it comes to the game. So I would be interested in Gruden, but, you know, who knows? At this point, we've gone through so many head coaches. I'm going to temper my expectations no matter what. It's like, well, I'm a Gator alum, so Dan Mullen, people are asking me about Dan Mullen. Yeah, he's great. You know, I liked him when he was offensive coordinator, but I'm not going to be excited or I'm not going to be depressed because I have no idea how it's going to go. Hey, Will. Will is our Patriots fan, coworker of mine. He says, "Go Pats." Let's all hate him together because the Bucs. I think, here you go, Will, hot take. I think the Bucs have more talent than the Patriots, and the Patriots have 2 losses. So, if that's not an indictment of this head coaching staff, I don't know what is. The Packers also, let's give them some credit. This is a team that's used to winning. They have a winning culture, and that's how you win. They lost in every category. They have a backup quarterback, and they found a way to win. It's simple. They made a ton of mistakes, but they found a way to win. Mike McCarthy, awesome play calling. He got booed, awesome play calling in overtime, knowing that we couldn't stop the run, did read options, did a bunch of runs, and they won. And that is something Dirk can't do. Yeah, Will, you do have a better coach. You have one of the greatest head coaches of all time, so I appreciate that. Oh, by the way, my brother texted me during this game, and he said he almost flew me to Green Bay as a birthday gift for this game, and I was very mad at him, but now I'm not so mad because I would be so depressed. At this moment, I would have blamed myself for being there. Patriots just show that coaching matters. I agree, and again, the Green Bay Mike McCarthy play calling shows that too. So going back to this particular game, I think, well, let's talk about what players did well and what players didn't do well. Number 1, Justin Evans. How many of you trashed that pick? Justin Evans, he does get burned a lot. He's still a rookie, but he's a ball hawk. He's a playmaker, and he made a play early in the game that really got us hyped and pumped. And of course, you know, it wasn't a great throw, great decision by Hundley, but Evans just seems to find the ball. Notice how none of the other safeties have that knack like he has. And his tackling has been solid, and that was one of his, you know, big knocks coming out of college. So Justin Evans, hey, there's a bright future there at safety. Gerald McCoy, so underappreciated in Tampa. And, you know, hey, he didn't show up too much on the stat sheet, but he is always getting through that line, making big plays. At the end of the game, he blew up a huge play. It was a screen pass, and he was there when he needed to be. I didn't see a whole lot from Levante, who's had a great year, but I'm sure he will show up on tape as doing well. One of the big things I noticed, speaking of defense, and we'll go back to the negatives, is did you notice that Grimes was giving a huge cushion on 3rd and short, just like we trashed Vernon Hargreaves for? I found that interesting. Now, Mike Smith has said that he has not told his players to do this, and that it's their decision. So who knows what happens? But since Grimes gave that huge cushion to Devontae Adams on his 3rd and 2, there was a quick pass, and they got an easy first down, and that's the stuff we're used to. Austin, yeah, Evans picked off Tom Brady, and that was one of his first plays. So I'm big on that. And that's another thing about Light and his picks. Like, he picked up Justin Evans in the 2nd round, and people were trashing him for it, but he's making Light look good, right? Offensive line, Donovan Smith continues to be up and down. I saw him whiff on a few blocks. I saw him do well a couple times. He's inconsistent. Trying to think off the top of my head. The wide receivers, Evans and Deshaun Jackson, didn't have a whole lot of play. And maybe that was just because of the game plan, because of Winston. Who knows? They didn't have a whole lot of play. I don't know how open they were. I'll be interested in seeing the All-22. Is it me, or does it seem like Quan Alexander's had a down year? Yeah, I agree with you. He has not been the playmaking linebacker that we are used to. He just has not been Quan this year. I'm hoping it's just, a fluky thing. I'm hoping it's scheme and that we're not taking advantage of his speed. But yeah, he's not playing well. And, Levante David is overcoming the scheme or whatever. So yeah, Quan is. I saw him whiff on. He could have had a sack. Actually, there was one moment where he could have had a sack, and he over pursued, and Hundley just shook him off and ran for a first down. So. Mike, I get the impression that no one on the team, from the coaches down, are really held accountable. Anything. Zero professionalism from grown-ass millionaires. Well, I think that's something that happens when you see a losing team like this. I don't know if it's professionalism. Again, to give Dirk credit, this team has not quit on him yet. They keep fighting. They keep playing. They have the grit. And Schiano, the team quit on him. Raheem Morris, the team quit on him. John Gruden, the team quit on him. Now, some could argue that was because of Monty Kiffin announcing he was leaving, but we've seen Bucs quit on head coaches, and that's led to those head coaches being fired. This team hasn't quit on Dirk yet. Now that we have 8 losses, we'll see. So, professionalism, I don't know. I mean, Dirk, one thing I am not liking is how chippy he's getting with the media. But he's just frustrated with losing, I guess. Andy, also it is worth it for the Bucs to pick up Cameron Brate in free agency, even though we have OJ. I agree with you. Let's keep both of them. I mean, why? Why would we get rid of Brate? Because he's such a security blanket for Jameis. I agree with you on that. I do miss Monty. I miss Monty, but I am still pretty bitter at him for what he did. If you guys don't remember 2008, Gruden's last year, he announced he was leaving. The Bucs were 9-3 and doing quite well on defense that year. They were winning the division. He announced he was leaving, and we proceeded to see this defense completely collapse in every single game. I was at that last game against the Raiders in Tampa, and Jamarcus Russell tore up this defense. Ever since then, we have made backups and rookies look like Hall of Famers. It's been a trend ever since Monty left us. So, I miss Monty. I miss Hall of Fame Monty. He hasn't done anything since he left. I'm seeing on here that the stream health is not very good, so let me know, guys, if you can't hear me or can't see me. Yes, it was a terrible move to go to Tennessee with Lane. Lane Kiffin is the reason that we are where we are. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm just going to blame Lane Kiffin. Any other positives, guys? I didn't talk really about the positives. Pat Murray. I mean, thank God for Pat Murray. How different would this year have been had we had Pat Murray from the beginning? And that, again, is against Dirk and Light even for the whole Aguayo experiment, and then bringing in Nick Folk when Pat Murray's just been sitting there. Yeah, we should have had Pat all along. He's been solid. He's making everything. So how different things could be. I'm trying to think of more positives. Peyton Barber, I don't think I've talked about him enough. Peyton looks great. I mean, he's not flashy. I wrote that in my notes. Peyton Barber is not a flashy guy, but he's getting the hard yards. It's a lot like how Jaquiz did for us last year. Did a great job of finding the hole and just going straight down. And I think that's something that Martin has been lacking this year. He's been dancing too much, being patient behind this line. That is not very good. And Peyton's just taking the ball and running with it. So good for Peyton. I think he keeps starting. And like I said earlier, if you guys didn't hear me before, but I think Martin's gone after this year. Overall, this trend, the problem every single game has been offensive line and defensive line, straight up. I think play calling players, no matter what it is you guys are blaming it on, skill position players, the defensive line and offensive line are not getting it done. They are not filling gaps. They are not getting pressure on the quarterback. The offensive line have crippling penalties. They are being turnstiles. They're inconsistent. And that is why we are losing these games. And yeah, the coaches need to overcome it. But really, and I don't know what it is. It could be the coaches' problems. It could be the players. I just don't know. I truly think this team has the talent to be a playoff team. and they're 4-8. So I'm disappointed on how his free agency has turned out. And yeah, I agree, Andy. That another thing is a knock-on light. His free agency evaluation does not seem to be very good. I'm trying to think of okay, so TJ Ward, right? Not panning out very well. Although we all lauded him for that pickup. It was a great pickup. We all thought, not panning out. I'm trying to think of recent. Obviously, there's the obvious, like, Michael Johnsons of the world, but free agency has just not worked out for us. Deshaun Jackson. Now, I don't think that's his fault, but he hasn't panned out. So, isn't it all possible that the Glazers run this team like a business and not a sport? Yeah. I mean, it depends on what you mean by that, Mike. The Glazers now, that's something that I haven't talked about enough, I don't think, is, okay, so everybody's I think ever since we got rid of Dungy and it worked out for us, everybody's solution in Tampa Bay is to just fire the head coach when things aren't going right. Just fire the head coach. Oh, not going well, just fire the head coach. But there's another part of that equation, guys. There's another part of hiring the right head coach after you fire the last head coach. Yeah, if a head coach isn't working, he's not working, and you need to get rid of him. But you also have to hire the right guy. And who's making all these hires? It's the Glazers. These are the one guys that we can't fire. So your solution is to fire the head coach, but do you really have do you really have a lot of hope and a lot of trust in the Glazers' ability to replace the head coach with the right guy? I mean, I think we're just going to keep going on and on and on with head coaches. Maybe the time is to just sit with Dirk Cutter and just ask him to make personnel decisions, whether it's getting rid of Mike Smith, whether it's getting rid of offensive and defensive line coaches, whatever it is, just making, and giving up play calling duties too. Like, there's a lot of things we could do if we keep Dirk. So maybe that's the way to go. Maybe it isn't. Chris Baker, yeah, that's another disappointing free agent signing. Forget about Chris Baker. Yeah. So, yeah, it's tough, man. In the vein of Steinbrenner, I went to his offices at Legends, and that dude demanded production or else, but he loved the sport. Yeah, it would be great to have that kind of owner. An owner like that, and it's going to tear you up inside, guys, but I live in Georgia. Arthur Blank has been a fantastic owner for the Falcons. And yeah, let us not forget they blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl last year. But Arthur Blank has run this organization the right way in Atlanta. He wants winning, and he is making good hires at head coach. He's firing at the right time and hiring the right people at the right time. So Arthur Blank is a great example of an owner we need. But we can dream and stuff, but the Glazers are who the Glazers are. We can't get rid of them. So, Lewis, I noticed early in the game it was 3-2, and we were playing 9 yards off the receivers. Yeah, Lewis, I pointed that out earlier. Specifically, Grimes did that too, and it's just going to drive us all nuts. I think one thing that we need from defense is just an attitude. We need an attitude, and we need an identity. Identity is one of the things that's just been missing, and the players themselves have admitted it. There's just no identity on this team, especially on defense. Remember last year, this defense, when they turned it up, man, they were sacking the quarterback and they were causing turnovers. The identity of this team is that when it came down the line, Keith Tandy was going to pick it off, right? Somebody was going to get a big sack, and that just has not happened this year. Whether that's luck, whether that's scheme, I don't know what it is, but this team is lost, and maybe it will take a new head coach to change that. The Glazers also own Manchester United, and they are one of the best teams. Maybe there is focus on that team more than this team. And maybe. I don't really follow soccer. Sorry if you hear that rumbling in the background. Loud cars, hate them. But yeah, I don't follow soccer too much. I don't know. The Manchester United are the Yankees of soccer, at least of the Premier League, as far as I know. And, players want to play there. They have a huge budget, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's just completely, it's apples and oranges. Who knows if they're paying more attention there or not. But probably doesn't help much that Tampa is such a small market when it comes to TV and marquee players. Yeah, I mean, different players choose the team for different reasons. Sometimes living in Florida and being in Tampa Bay actually really helps this team. Some players love the sunshine, love having mild to warm winters, and they also love that tax break that Florida can offer. So there's a lot that Tampa can offer. Yeah, maybe there's some players that don't choose Tampa because it's not a big market, but maybe the prima donnas that you don't want anyway. So Bucs fever is the identity. Yeah, good one, Mike. Bucs fever, I feel like, is the new. It's a Bucs life. It's just like, let's get rid of it. We don't need it. Hire a president and football mind. Yeah, okay, so this has been a big topic of conversation for Tampa for a very long time. For this season is, hey, here's a fix. Let's hire a president, a guy running team operations like Jacksonville did with Tom Coughlin. Yeah, it's working for them, and I'm not saying it's not going to work for us, but again, this goes back to you trusting the Glazers to hire the right person. So maybe we hire Tony Dungy, for instance. I don't know. Maybe we hire Gruden to be that person. I don't know. But that person needs to be good at what they do. I mean, who knows what a team president even does? I don't know. If you guys remember, the Cleveland Browns a few years ago hired Mike Holmgren to be their team president of football operations, and that did not go well. And Mike Holmgren is a legendary head coach. So, yeah, it may solve problems. Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. Maybe you promote Jason Light to team president, and then you promote Mike Greenberg or somebody to GM. I don't know, maybe. At the very least, it would show that we're trying something new. And that's, again, if we fire the coach, if we don't fire the coach, as long as we're just trying, if we're saying we're changing things up and we're saying, hey, we're trying something new, I think that would give us enough hope. We have the talent, so maybe. Yes, Mike, we all remember Culver House, and he was the worst. So let us remember also that the Glazers are better than Culver House, which, is not saying very much. It's like, at least this moldy old pizza is better than getting gonorrhea. I don't know. It's the same thing. So Tampa has the most strip clubs per capita. That's true, too. That's probably a big draw for players. J.R. Sweezy, another failed free agent. Thank you. Yeah, Sweezy has not looked good. Who knows what it is? Maybe it's the injury. Maybe it's scheme. We don't know for sure. We don't know. So, offensive line, defensive line. That's the main problems. There's lots of problems we can talk about. I know a lot of you also, and I'll go over one more topic before I leave you guys. But what did you think about Jameis playing this game? And what do you think about him playing the subsequent games? We know he was coming off an injury. It looked like he was injured this time around too. So what do you think he should play the rest of the year? There was a lot of controversy of him playing. I agreed actually with him playing. I think if your starter is healthy, you play him. Plain and simple. If he's not healthy, you don't play him. Obviously, the Cowboys made that mistake a couple years ago with Tony Romo fresh off a collarbone injury. They forced him back, and it killed them. So, obviously, we don't want that to happen to Jameis. We don't want him to suffer and get a worse injury and really have an Andrew Luck situation, for instance, that the Colts ran into. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Is it time to sit Winston and just have Ryan Griffin go out there and see what he can do? Or do you think that Winston should keep playing because he's the starter? I personally think he still needs to develop. He's clearly still young. He still clearly is making bad decisions. I don't think sitting's going to help him very much. I think we still do need to throw Jameis out there and not play scared. Amazement. I wanted to see Griffin, but he was inactive. Got to see if he can be a capable backup. I mean, that's fair. It really is fair. I can see that way of thinking. So, Rocco, I don't know, man. Jameis he's not a franchise QB to me, in my opinion. I can't definitively say that. I do think he is the best quarterback we have, and the most talented quarterback, and the quarterback with the highest ceiling that we have seen probably since Trent Dilfer. And now some of you may laugh at that, but if you remember when Dilfer came in, he was a first-round pick, and there was a lot of hype surrounding this guy. So Dilfer obviously ended up not being that franchise quarterback. But Winston, I really, truly believe he's got the skills and he's got the talent to be a franchise quarterback and at the very least earn a second contract. So, I mean, that's another reason to play him out there. We've got to see what he's made of. It's got to click for him. I think he's capable. He's a playmaker. he can make things happen. He can will his team to victories. But he could also really screw things up. He's inconsistent. We're just going to live with that, too. I mean, Brett Favre was the same way, guys. He would kill your team some games, but, man, he would be legendary other games. And I think Jameis is capable of that. He does overthrow, but I also do think that's another thing about the play calling, is I think that Jameis really can thrive with the right play caller, with the right scheme, and with the right head coach. I really feel like Dirk has not played to Jameis's strengths. He's never been a big deep ball guy, and yet we're throwing deep pass after deep pass after deep pass. And you saw in this game that Jameis really thrived throwing those short and intermediate routes. That's what we've got to do, and hopefully Dirk has learned, and obviously it's too late, but you saw a lot of that this game, and we had a ton of success. Obviously not in the red zone, which is another issue, but keep those passes short and then open up the routes for Mike and Deshaun. I'll be interested to see how open Mike and Deshaun were this game, because obviously they were not thrown to enough. I got a Packers fan in here, Alpha Ace Gamer. Hey man, thanks for joining us. But yeah, we're all Bucs fans here. Congrats on your win. You have a winning franchise, and we are all jealous of you. So, amazement. Jameis is fine. We got to play him, see if he was worth number one pick. Dirk gave him a lot of checkdowns, and that's why he played well. I agree with you. I don't think people realize Jameis is younger than Carson Wentz. That's true. I mean, that will only be an excuse for another year or two. But yeah, Jameis is still 23 years old. He's almost 10 years younger than me. Still immature. So, there's still a lot of hope with Jameis, guys. Don't give up on him yet. We rely throwing to the middle of the field too much. It's actually working, though. I don't know. It's some of our biggest first downs are throwing to the middle. Of course, those are the most dangerous passes, but Jameis is never going to be that precision passer. So, take the bad, you take the good. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them all, and there you have the facts of life. There's a reference for that probably nobody in here gets. So, I'll give him one more year to move on. Rocco, you're saying that. Yeah, let's give him another year. Jameis really has not shown to me that he is not capable of being a franchise quarterback. So, there you go. Okay, guys. Hey, Alpha, don't leave because you're a Pack fan, man. All fans are welcome here. You get a peek into what it's like to not have a winning franchise. You get a peek into what it's like to having a non-storied franchise, and it's misery. So this could give you good perspective for when Aaron Rodgers leaves, and assuming you don't stumble into yet another franchise quarterback, this is how bad things can get. So, and also, I see Carson Wentz on here. Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, that's another point I'll make, is those guys, look at what they're doing. I do not think that Jared Goff is as talented as Jameis Winston. I just don't. Obviously, they're different quarterbacks. Carson Wentz may be more talented, I'm not sure, but Jared Goff definitely. I don't think he's as talented as Jameis Winston is. So what happened there? You have Sean McVay, a guy I'm older than, come into Los Angeles, seeing his skill players, seeing what kind of players he has, and adjusting his scheme to fit the strengths of his team. And he got Wade Phillips, a defensive guy, to just come in and completely take over the defense. I mean, remember the Titans style. You have one guy control offense, one guy take care of defense. And I guess we kind of have that with Dirk and with Mike Smith, but Sean McVay takes it to another level where he's not even paying attention to the game while he is on the sidelines. Now, I'm not saying Dirk needs to do that, but I am saying that means, like, hey, you can have a really horrible offense one year and really make a jump if you just make slight adjustments. And that was obviously a head coach change, but if you have somebody come in, whether it's an offensive coordinator or a new head coach, they see their team and they mold this offense to their players rather than trying to fit the players to the scheme, good things can happen. And that was our knock against Lovey, wasn't it? Lovey was trying to fit our players to his scheme, and he was hard-headed about it, and that ended up being his undoing. And I remember when these coaches came in, they said they wouldn't do that, and here they are, they're doing it in their second year. So we'll see if that ends up in them completely just getting the can. So, all right, guys. thanks for the kind words, Andy. Love the live stream. Should do it more often. I like it too. This actually opens things up for me, and these will be my parting words. The reason I'm doing this is because I've just run out of time. If you guys check out my channel, check out the other videos. You see I have some more produced videos, and they take a lot of time. I mean, as you can imagine, a lot of post-production, a lot of editing, and then I kind of jumped down to reaction videos to Bucs games just because I ran out of time. It's been a busy season for me, and there's just not a lot of time to dedicate to editing, and so now I've had to bump it down to this live stream. Hold on a second. Got a beard hair in my mouth. This happens often when you have a beard like this. I'm thankful I'm finally beating out Fitzpatrick, by the way, with this beard since he shaved. I'm not quite at Holly level yet, but I'm getting there. So anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. There probably will be more of these and less of the produced videos. I am writing right now a in-studio green screen video that is more general NFL. It's just finding a time and finding studio space and all of that stuff to shoot it. But be on the lookout for that. Remember to subscribe, guys. There's that little click to subscribe icon right there at the bottom of the screen. And you can follow me on Twitter at @theplayreaction. And I also have a personal account at Corey the Draper. But search for me. You'll find me on social medias. And I'm still trying to figure out what to do with this channel. But thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for being along for the ride. And check back here next week. I'll be doing this again. So we'll see how this team reacts to being 4-8 and being 100% out of the playoffs. Stay strong, guys. Hope you were able to vent like I was, and I know I feel better. Hey, the Falcons lost, so I guess that's a good thing. Shh, don't tell my wife I said that. And fire the coaches, and then fire the cannons, as Amazement is saying. We'll see how it goes, guys. I'll talk to you next time, and till then, go Bucs.